Hey Captain Kruger, this is Cadet Chris Boyle along with Cadet Jack Dingle coming at you with deliverable 2. And first off, we're going to breeze over the different tabs we have. First, we have the user interface. The only thing different with the second deliverable here is the See My Graphs button, which will give us our final data. We still have the criteria tab. What's also new is this pivot tab, the worksheet summary tab, and we're pulling from the Your Data tab. Now, to make this easier for you for grading purposes, we'll run through it line by line and then show you what it looks like on the user interface. So first we'll run the setup pivot, which essentially just takes our data from Your Data tab and selects it. Then we go down here to the target type, and I'll run it line by line here on this other screen so you can follow along. We go through, it creates a pivot table, inserts the values from the Your Data, then copies and pastes that data with the values alone to the Worksheet Summary tab, and then takes those values, goes to the user interface, and creates a pie chart. From here, we'll run this line of code called Size and Align Charts 1, and I'll also run through that line by line, and you can look as it adjusts the size and placement of the pie chart. It asks for how many columns we want. We want 2 columns so that we have a 2 column by 3 row alignment of our 6 separate charts. Continue and press F8. We see that the chart will enlarge and readjust its placement on the screen. Again, the code appears like this. We have our width as 1.5 its original size and its height as twice its original size. Moving to this position on the sheet, and in future filters such as attack by type, you'll see that the pie chart will again create itself on the user interface. We again run the size and alignment charts 1 lines of code, putting in 2 to answer the question that pops up. Continue to run the line of code, and it will automatically align itself with the right side of that first pie chart. So here we see our first 2 pie charts. Moving on to the third, weapon by type, which you see right here. We will run that. Just press run there, and then we can press run here, enter 2, and you see our third chart pops up. The fourth one is attacks by month. We will run that, go back up here, run that, enter 2. You see that it is automatically lined up again. And then we do the same thing for our last 2, which are fatalities and casualties by month and bar plot by type. Okay, so for the sake of time, I went ahead and paused the video to insert these last 2 graphs. Now I'm going to hand it off to Jack Dingle to discuss the rest of it.
So, sir, the overall design that we were shooting for was a nice, presentable user interface for the user, with all the charts aligned in a 3x2 visual with every chart included. And then the design we wanted for our code, which you saw earlier, was having each of the charts being made individually and then resized as we went, just so it could make a presentable interface for the user as we went along. But the strengths and weaknesses we had throughout this, the strengths being that the code worked and it gave us presentable charts that were both large and readable for the user. The one weakness that we did find was that the charts are rather large and don't fit all up on the user interface, so we want to keep this or we want to change this so we can make it so it's presentable just on one sheet rather than scrolling all the way down. And the user interface looks rather untouched with the lines in the background. So cleaning up the user interface would be something we could do for suggested future work. And then our titles, we were having troubles getting the titles to come up correctly for each of these charts. So that was another thing we could work on for future work and another weakness that we had for this deliverable. But all in all, the code ran the way we wanted it to and gave us the correct charts. So, sir, this concludes our video. We do not have any documentation because we referenced you in class or in AI, and we referenced the book as well. So, sir, if you have any questions, please contact myself or Chris. Have a good day.